Welcome to Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. There has been a significant uptick in the amount of severe weather expected today, tomorrow, through the weekend, into Monday and Tuesday. An increase in the percentage of probabilities of severe weather and coverage and the number of days. So you'll want to watch this video to find out what's going on. Of course, starting with today, we do have a slight risk. That's the yellow area up there along I-70 in Kansas. That is a level 2 out of 5 chance. And if we kind of break this down a little bit, this is mainly going to be a hail and possibly a wind risk too. So here's where the severe hail risk is at its highest, 15%, right in the middle of that level 2 area. Literally right along I-70, Topeka, Manhattan, Salina, almost over to Hayes, stopping just short of Wichita. And in terms of hail intensity, you can see how that breaks down in this striped area here outlined in black. So the vast majority of this thing, 83% of it, is going to be in that 1 to 2 inch range with some outliers out there. But it's clear that while the hail will be at severe levels, which is 1 inch, there's a pretty significant chance, about a third of a chance, it could be a little bit bigger than that. And there's a wind intensity that goes along with that. It's a little bit less of a chance, I think, than the hail, but it is there nevertheless for today. If we take a look at what CSU, Colorado State, has to say about this, no tornado risk really of any consequence today. We do have that hail risk that covers a little larger area and the wind risk a little smaller, and both of those are pretty low percentages at 5% on both of those. Then we turn our page to Friday. It's really the same overall situation, except I think things are a little more juicy. Each progressive day, I think, through Saturday, I can say that. So we have this level 2 risk, which really kind of overlaps today's and goes and extends up into parts of Missouri and Iowa. Level 1 risk surrounding that. That does get into much of Illinois and down the dry line a little bit down into Oklahoma. So if we take a look at what Colorado State has to say about that probability-wise, interestingly, they still have that dot of tornado. So they don't have anything in the past records matching this with any tornado development. At least this particular machine learning model doesn't. Hail is going to be centralized there in Iowa, where they do have a 15% chance of severe hail within 25 miles. And the wind is kind of scattered and all over the place, and probably not the more significant of all the threats. The hail would be. Having said that, however, I do want to show you the tornado risk as developed by StormNet. This has been very persistent for eastern, northeastern Iowa on into adjacent portions of Wisconsin and Illinois for Friday. This particular time frame here, as you can see up on top, is 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., so it's a 12-hour window, but it does put a maximum area of tornado possibilities just north of Cedar Rapids and just east of Waterloo in that general area. So I think that's interesting. This is all going to be mostly elevated convection. So all this risk area here for tornadoes that's been persistently showing up there is all based on the idea that we can get a surface-based storm, which must have happened in the past when you pattern match this, and that's what that's latching onto. So on Saturday, again, same areas, only expanded now. So it's almost like we're doing an additive thing. Here's today's, and then here's Friday's. And now here's Saturdays, which overlays both of them. So it's going to be pretty active in northern and northeastern Kansas for sure. But now this severe thunderstorm risk for Saturday, level 2 out of 5, is for Lincoln. And again, all along I-70, Des Moines now lumped into that, St. Joe, Kansas City on the edge there, so is Wichita. And again, some conditional probabilities down there along the dry line on Saturday. I will likely chase on Saturday, probably won't on Friday. I'm not seeing enough convincing arguments to go up to that tornado risk that I dwelled on. But on Saturday, yeah, up in this area for sure is a possibility. Now, if we take a look at CSU, they do put a little tornado probability of about 2% there in from Lincoln westward a little bit, with hail again chiming in as a more significant threat than wind, which is not too unusual this time of year. I did want to show you the StormNet probabilities for tornadoes, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. on Saturday evening, so it might be an evening event. But thunderstorms that pop up there from Grand Island to Lincoln to Omaha in that area have, it looks like about I'm saying it's probably about a 18% chance, something like that. Kind of grasping at it a little bit there, but it does show the bullseye areas. I think it's a significant product. Now, on Sunday, this is significantly different. The Storm Prediction Center has pulled the trigger on a 30% probability. Now, when you're going out that many days into the future, that is saying something. It means they have strong confidence of severe weather in this orange area here, covering much of central and eastern Nebraska, and it would include Sioux Falls, not quite to Lincoln, but close enough. Valentine is over here, I think. I'm not sure what other cities are in the central and northern part of Nebraska. Anyway, that's a significant change, and the 15% area is also expanded as well. Take a look, and this is the CSU Outlook, and they change panels at day 4. So this is what I just showed you, and this is what they're saying. So they've got a 45% chance of any severe weather within a 25-mile point where that purple is right there. Pretty significant from Nebraska through Sioux Falls, and the striped area is significance. So in other words, the intensity of what you expect goes along with the probability. So pretty interesting on Sunday. I am going to a Styx concert with my son on Sunday at the AMP in Arkansas, so I won't be able to go on a storm chase on this day. But here's the tornado risk, as pointed out on Sunday, from Rochester through Omaha down into north central Kansas is where they're painting probably about a 30% chance of any tornado within a 25-mile point. That's on Sunday. And if we start looking at the jet stream pattern, because it starts getting a little more juicy by Sunday, all the rest of these outlooks are suffering a little bit from either lack of instability, capping, or not real strong winds. But on Sunday, we have two things going on. First of all, we have this leading short wave. This is the NAM we're looking at. That is what's going to activate activity in this area on Sunday. In fact, the timing of that, as this appears now on this Thursday, looks really good for that. So this is an 18Z 500 millibar chart. So this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's getting there just in time for the peak heating. So that could be significant. Equally significant is this large speed max that's coming down from Nevada, from California into Nevada. That's going to set up, as you've probably already guessed, Monday. So we'll take a look at that. But I did want to compare models for Sunday real quick. So the EPS ensemble does show a weaker system here, but it's supposed to kind of average things out a little bit, not make things as sharp. But even having said that, this feature still stands out, as does this one setting up for Monday, which we'll take a look at now. The Storm Prediction Center has upped the chances here, so 30% risk. Definitely will chase this. This is from central Kansas, almost in the exact same area, really. So a lot of people in that area, Lincoln, Des Moines now in this, need to be on the lookout for any type of severe weather here. The probabilities are just as high, really, except that the 45 has shifted now into Wisconsin, parts of Minnesota and Iowa, with the significance there. Also, a little bit of dry line activity is possible. This is going to be an interesting day. As far as StormNet's tornado probabilities, they actually put them out at the highest risk from Kansas City down into south central Kansas on Monday. So that is interesting. Not sure how that reconciles with the rest of this. I'll have to double check that. I'm pretty sure I got it right. Anyway, I did want to show you the jet stream flow at the EPS for Monday, 18Z, 1 o'clock, shows this. Remember, the speed max was right here. Now it's coming around the bend. Kind of a neutrally tilted axis, a little bit negatively tilted probably. So this is, again, an encouraging dynamic situation for severe weather for sure. Now, we go to Tuesday. This is new. So I broadcast from the Ozarks. Everybody needs to know that we are under a 15% chance of severe weather on Tuesday, as this entire system still is moving its way through the central and eastern U.S., so all of the Ozarks are included in that. Most of Missouri is really. It goes all the way up into Illinois, parts of Oklahoma and Kansas too. CSU paints this picture. Not as excitable about the 15% probabilities as the SPC is. But again, that's why I show you these, to compare and contrast the ideas so you know what's possible. Also, there's a large area in New England of 15% and not mentioned by SPC at this time. Now, in Supercell Composites, this basically sums up the next week, 14th through the 20th. A lot of activity in the high plains and in Texas, but a significant amount of that is stretching over northern Missouri up into around the Chicago area. Again, this is what this does. It takes each pixel area and adds up the probabilities over a 7-day period. So it's an accumulated probability, not really targeting any specific day, but it is pretty active. And then for the week after that, some evidence of it drying out and cooling out over the northern plains, but still really going good in Oklahoma, Panhandle of Texas, most of Texas up into Colorado. And then even into the early days of June, we still see a really high probability on the lee side of the Rockies. This really is very reminiscent of a June pattern. Either this happens and you get big hailers in Colorado typically, or you start getting a maximum up here in the northern plains. We're not quite ready for that yet, but that's the summary for today. So be on the lookout the next couple of days. It looks like the severe weather is just kind of ramping up slowly each day, and the tornado probabilities, while they're pretty weak at first, will start to increase certainly a little bit on Saturday, but certainly Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Thanks for watching today's edition of Severe Thunderstorm Outlooks. This is published every day after the morning Storm Prediction Center update. Also, remember to check that site off on day one because they update it fairly frequently. If you like this video, please like it. Also, you can subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.